Hi everyone, how you doing today? Welcome back to the Dinosaur Experience over here in Watson, Louisiana. It's Martin and Rexi here. Got another book for you, but before we do that, got another announcement, another birthday party we're going to come to over in Denham Springs this time, and it's for you, Carson and Gage. Carson's going to be 5. And Gage is going to be 4 over in Denham Springs, and that's going to be in December. So me and Rexy here, and Nash, our big dinosaur, we're going to come along to your birthday parties, and we're really looking forward to meeting you and all your friends. All right, see you very soon. All right, today's book is called The Elves and the Shoemaker, and this is retold by John Cash. Okay, now it's quite an old book, this one, or an old story. It's a fairy tale, and it's an old fairy tale, but it's a great story. So stay tuned, it's coming up for you right now. A long time ago, when shoes were still made by shoemakers, and not by machines in factories, a shoemaker and his wife found themselves in very hard times. No matter how much they worked, and they worked very hard indeed, they just couldn't seem to make ends meet. Things became so difficult that finally the shoemaker had only one piece of leather left, just enough to make one pair of shoes. That evening he cut out the pieces for the shoes he was going to stitch together the next morning. Walking to his bed, he thought to himself, all we can do now is hope for the best. When the shoemaker stepped into his workshop the next morning, he found the shoes all sewn together and neatly placed side by side on his workbench. The shoes were marvellous, and everything about them was perfect. I wonder who could have done this, the shoemaker said to his wife, but neither of them had heard anything in the night. Soon the bell to the shop door rang, and a customer walked in, and he looked at the shoes. He tried them on, and said no shoes had ever fit him so well. He happily gave the shoemaker twice the price he was asking for the shoes, and the money the shoemaker bought enough leather for 2 more pairs of shoes. That evening the shoemaker again cut the piece of leather, left them on his workbench, and then went to bed. The next morning 2 bright pairs of new shoes lay finished on his table, and soon they were sold as well. This time the shoemaker bought enough leather to make 4 pairs of shoes, which, like the others, were made overnight. By now the whole town had begun to buzz about the shoemaker's exceptional shoes, and all 4 pairs were quickly sold. And so it went on for weeks and months, and into the cold winter. The shoemaker and his wife were busy all the time now, and they worked so hard they barely had time to think. One day the shoemaker said to his wife, let's stay up tonight and see who's doing this wonderful thing for us. They hid themselves in the back of the shop and waited, but eventually they dozed off. Suddenly the shoemaker and his wife were awakened by the sound of tapping. They rubbed their eyes in amazement to see 2 tiny barefoot elves, dressed in thin, frayed red suits, deftly sewing the shoes together and tapping on the soles. The elves finished their work, lined up the shoes on the bench, and left the shoemaker's shop, like 2 whispers in the wind. The shoemaker's wife looked at her husband and said, their little suits were so thin and tattered, they must be freezing. I'll make them little jackets, scarves and hats, and you can cobble some shoes together for them. It's the least we can do to thank them. So the shoemaker's wife made each of the elves a smart little suit with tiny gold buttons and scarves and hats of the softest wool, and her husband made each of them a perfect pair of shoes. That night they set the clothes out for the elves and waited. When the elves arrived just before daybreak, they looked at the little suits and began to dance with joy. They tried on the new clothes and admired each other, and then they sang. We look so good, we look so smart. Our cobbling days are done. No more leather, no more thread. Let's go out and have some fun. And with that, they danced out the door. The shoemaker and his wife never saw the elves again. But good fortune had smiled on them, and they became known across the land for their hard work and their wonderful shoes and their very kind souls. All right, that's another good book. That's an old one, an old fairy tale, and I hope you liked it. All right, don't forget you can see more of our stories here. You can see them on our Facebook page. You can see them on our YouTube page. You can follow us on Instagram. If you wanted us to come to a birthday party or perhaps your school, get in touch on Facebook or drop us a line. Rexi here loves to come and see people, as does Nash. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that. Stay tuned and we'll see you again very soon. Bye.